Hey guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Hanging in. Trying. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. They're messing with me again. Who are they? You know who they are by now, I hope. The Inferno by Dante Alighieri. We're going to read Canto 27. We're almost there, halfway. Mind you, my teeth are loose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teeth. They go whoop. I do apologize if I mispronounce any of the names. I'm also dyslexic, so mind the P's and Q's. So far, so good, sort of. Canto 27. Already was the flame erect and quiet, to speak no more, and now departed from us, with the permission of the gentle poet, when yet another, which behind it came, caused us to turn our eyes upon its top, by a confused sound that issued from it, as the Sicilian bull, the bellowed first, with the lament of him, and that was right, who with his file had modulated it, bellowed so with the voice of the afflicted, that notwithstanding is made of brass, still it appeared with agony transfixed, thus by not having any way or issue, at first from out the fire to its own language converted were the melancholy words, but afterwards when they had gathered way up through the point giving it that vibration, the tongue had given them in their passage out. We heard it said, O thou, at whom I aim my voice, and who but now was speaking Lombard, saying, now do thy way, no more I urge thee, because I come perchance a little late, to stay and speak with me, let it not irk thee. Thou seest it irks me not, and I am burning. If thou but lately into the blind world hast fallen down from the sweet Latin land, wherefrom I bring the whole of my transgression, say, have the Roma Guanoli, peace or war. For I was from the mountains there between Urbuno and the yoke once timber bursts. I still was downward bent and listening, when my conductor touched me on the side, saying, speak thou, this one a Latin is. And I, who had beforehand my reply, in readiness forthwith began to speak. O soul, that down below there art concealed, Romagena, thine is not and never have been, without war in the bosom of its tyrants, but open war I none have felt, I have left there now. Ravenna stands as it long years hath stood. The eagle of Polenta there is brooding, so that she covers Servia with her vans, the city which once made the long resistance, and of the French, singularly heap. I totally butchered that word, by the way. Beneath the green paws finds itself again. For Uccio's ancient mastiff and the new, who made such bad disposal of Montagina, where they are won't make wimbles of their teeth. The cities of Lamone and Santernero governs the lioncel of the white hair, who charges sides twixt summertime and winter, and that of which the Savino bathes the flank, even as it lies between the plain and mountain, lives between tyranny and a free state. Now I entreat thee, tell us who thou art. Be not more stubborn than the rest have been. So may thy name hold front there in the world, after the fire a little more had roared. It in its own fashion, the sharp point it moved this way and that, and then gave forth such breath. Can't skip any pages. If I believed that my reply were made, to one who to the world would ever return, this flame without more flickering should stand still, but inasmuch as never from this depth did anyone return, if I hear true, without the fear of infamy, I answer, I was a man of arms, then Coldelaire, believing thus be grit to make amends, and truly my belief had been fulfilled, but for the high priest whom my ill betide, who put me back into my former sins, and how wherefore I will have thy hear. While I was still the form of bone and pulp, my mother gave to me the deeds I did, were not those of a lion but a fox. The machinations and the covert ways, I knew them all and practiced so their craft, that to the ends of the earth sound went forth. When now unto that portion of my age, I saw myself arrive, when each one ought to lower the sails and coil away the ropes. That which before had pleased me, then displaced me. Impertinent and confessing, I surrendered. Ah, woe is me, and it would have bested me, the leader of the modern Pharisees, having war near unto Laterne, and not the Saracens, nor with the Jews. For each one of his enemies was Christian, and none of them had been to conquer Acre, nor merchandising in the Sultan's land, nor the high office, nor the sacred orders, in him regard, nor in me the cord, which used to make those grit with more meager. But even as Constantine sought out Sylvester to cure his leprosy within Socrates, so this one sought me out as an adept to cure him of the fever of his pride. Counsel he asked of me, and I was silent, because his words appeared inerbate. And then he said, be not thy heart afraid, henceforth I thee absolve, and thou instruct me how to raise Palestrina to the ground. Heaven had I power to lock and unlock. As thou dost know, wherefore the keys are two, which my predecessor held not dear. Then urged me on my weighty arguments, there where my silence was the worst advice. And I, Father, since thou washest me of that sin into which now I must fall, the promise long with the fulfillment short, will make thee triumph in the lofty seat. Francis came forward afterward when I was dead. For me, but one of the black cherubim said to me, take him not, do me no wrong. He must come down among my servitors, because he gave the fraudulent advice, from which that time forth I've been at his hair. For who repents not cannot be absolved, nor can one both repent and will at once, because of the contradiction which consents not. O miserable me, how I did shudder when he seized on me, saying, Pre-adventure, thou didst not think that I was a logician. He bore me unto Minos, who entwined 8 times his tail about his stubborn back, and after he had bitten in great rage, said, Of thee this fire a culprit this. Wherefore here where thou seest I am lost, and vested thus in going, I bemoan me. When it had thus completed its recital, the flame departed, uttering lamentations, withering and flapping its sharp-pointed horn. Onward we passed, both I and my conductor, up over the crag, above another arc, which the moat covers, where is paid the fee by those who, sowing discord, win their burden. Canto 20. Whoever could, even with untrammeled words, tell of the blood and of the wounds in full, which now I saw by many times narrating, each tongue would be for a certainty fall short, by reason of our speech and memory, that that have small room to comprehend so much. If were again assembled all the people, which formerly upon the faithful land of Bulgaria, Puglia, were laminating for their blood, shed by the Romans and the lingering war, that of the rings made such illustrious spoils, as Livy has recorded, who errs not, with those who felt the agony of blows, by making counterstand to Robert Guiscard, and all the rest, whose bones are gathered still at Serpanio, were a renegade, was each Apollyon, and at, I told you these names, guys, Tagla Cazezio. You would think I live on a severe Italian borough, that I would have this down. You would think, right? With all the insanity of Italian last names that my friends encapsulate, which I love them to death. But you would think I would have this down by now. So I do apologize. Where without arms the old Alardo conquered, and one has limb transpierced and one lopped off, should show it would be nothing to compare with the disgusting mode of the 9th Bulgia, a cast by losing centerpiece or cant, was never shattered so, as I saw one rent from the chin to where one breaketh wind. I mean, if anything, laugh, because this is, we need vibes. I laugh at myself sometimes, a lot. Between his legs were hanging down his entrails. His heart was visible, and the dismal sack that maketh excrement of what is eaten. Sounds like a Cannibal Corpse song. While I was all absorbed in seeing him, he looked at me and opened with his hands his bosom, saying, See now how I rend me, how mutilated, see, is Mamat. In front of me doth Ally weeping go, cleft in the face from forelock unto chin, and all the others whom thou here beholdest, sowers of sandals and of schisms, have been, while living, and therefore are thus cleft asunder. A devil is behind here, who doth cleave us, thus cruelly unto the falchion's edge, putting again each one of all this ream. When we have gone around and doleful road, by reason that our wounds are closed again, ere any one in front of him repass. But who art thou, the musest on the crag, perchance to postpone going to the pain that is abjugated upon thine accusations, nor death has reached him yet, nor guilt doth lead him. My master made reply to be tormented, but to procure him full experience. Me who am dead, behooves it to conduct him down here through hell, from circle unto circle. And this is true as that I speak to thee. More than 100 were there when they heard him, who in the moat stood still to look at me, through wonderment oblivious of their torture. Now say to Fra Dolinxio, then to arm him, thou who perhaps wilt shortly see the sun, if soon he wish not here to follow me. So with provisions that no stress of snow may give the victory to the Norveys, which otherwise to gain would not be easy. After 1 foot to go away, he lifted. This word did Mammut say unto me. Then to depart upon the ground he stretched it. Another one who had his throat pierced through, and his nose cut off close underneath the brows, and who had left him but a single ear, staying to look and wonder with the others, before the others did his gullet open, which outward was red in every part, and said, O thou, whom guilt doth not condemn, and whom I saw up in Latin land, unless too great similitude deceive me, call to remembrance Pierre de Medicina. If ever thou see again the lovely plain that from Vercelli slopes to Marcabo, and make it known to the best to a Fano, to Messier Guido and Angelillo likewise, that if foreseeing here not in vain, cast over from their vessel shall they be, and drown near unto the Catolica, by the betrayal of a tyrant fell, between the isles of Cyprus and Margisia. Neptune never yet beheld so great a crime, neither of the pirates nor Argolic people. The traitor who sees only with one eye, and holds the land, which some one here with me would fain be fasting from the vision of, will make them come unto parley with him. Then will do so, that for Carissa wind, they will not stand in need of a vow or prayer. And I to him show to me and declare, if thou wouldest have me bear up news of thee, who is this person of the bitter vision? Then did he lay his hand upon the jaw, one of his companions, and his mouth. Up to crying, this is he, and he speaks not. This one being banished, every doubt submerged, in Caesar by affirming the aforearmed, always with derangement, allowed delay. Oh, how bewildered unto me appeared, with tongue asunder in his windpipe slit. Curio, who is speaking, was so bold, and one who both his hands dissevered had, the stumps uplifting through the murky air, so that the blood made horrible his face, cried out, thou shalt remember Mosca also, who said, alas, a thing done has an end, which was an ill seed for the Tuscan people, and death unto thy race. Thereto I added, once he, accumulating woe on woe, departed like a person sad and crazed. But I remained to look upon the crowd, and saw a thing which I should be afraid, without some further proof, even to recount, if it were not that conscience reassures me, that good companion which emboldens man, beneath the hauberk of its feeling pure. I truly saw, and still I seem to see it, a trunk without a head, walk in like manner, as walked the others of the mournful herd, and by the hair it held the head dissevered, hung from the hand in fashion of a lantern, and that upon a gaze and said, "Oh me, it of itself made itself a lamp." And they were two in one, and one in two. How that can be, he knows whoso ordains it. When it was come close to the bridge's foot, it lifted high its arm with all the head, to bring more closely unto us its words, which were, "Behold now the sore penalty. Thou who dost breathing go to the dead beholding, behold if any be as great as this, and so that thou may carry news of me. Know the Beret Ram day born am I, the same who gave to the young king the evil comfort. I made the father and the son rebellious. Achitophel, not more than Absalom, and David did with his accursed goadings, because I parted person to so united. Parted do I now bear my brain, alas, from its beginning, which is in the trunk. This is observed in me, the counterpose. Okay. Pinhead, the horror movie, mixed with Cannibal Corpse. Totally. That whole canto, especially the gory parts. Cannibal Corpse and Pinhead. Hellraiser. Oh boy. Canto 29. The many people and the diverse wounds. These eyes of mine had so inebriated that they were wishful to stand still and weep. But said Virgilius, tooth almost came out there. What does thou still gaze at? Why is they sight still riveted down there among the mournful mutilated shades? Thus hast not done so at the other bulge. Consider if to count them thou believest, that 22 miles the valley winds, and now the moon is underneath our feet. Henceforth the time allotted us to brief, and more is to be seen than what thou seest. If thou I thereupon made answer, hast attended to the cause for which I looked, perhaps a longer stay thou wouldst have pardoned. Meanwhile my guide departed, and behind him I went, already making my reply, and superadding, in that cavern where I held my eyes with such attention fixed, I think a spirit of my blood laments the sin which down below there cost so much. Then said the master, be no longer broken. Thy thought from this time forward upon him, attend elsewhere, and there let him remain. For him I saw below the little bridge, pointing at thee and threatening with his finger fiercely, and heard him call out, Gary del Bello. So wholly at that time was thou impeded by him who formerly held a let forte. Thou didst not look that way, so he departed. O my conductor, his own violent death, which is not yet avenged for him, I said, by any who is sharer in the shame, made him disdainful whence he went away, as I imagine, without speaking to me, and thereby made me pity him the more. Thus did we speak as far as the first place, upon the crag which the next valley shows, down to the bottom if there were more light. When we were now right over the last cloister of Melbulge, so that its lay brothers could manifest themselves unto our sight, divers laminating, piercing me through and through, which we with compassion had their arrows barbed, whereat my ears I cover with my hands, what pain would be if from the hospitals of Valiciana, twixt July and September, and Marmima and Sardinia, all the diseases of one moat were gathered. Such was it here, and such a stench came from it, as from putrescent limbs is wont to issue. And we had descended on the furthest bank, from the long crag upon the left hand still, and then more vivid was my power of sight, down towards the bottom, where the mistress of the high lord, justice infallible, punishes forgers, which she here records. I do not think a sadder sight to see was angina, the whole people sick. Where was the air so full of pestilence? The animals down to the little worm. All fell, and afterwards the ancient people, according to the poets, had affirmed, wherefrom the seed of ants restored again. Then was it to behold through the dark valley, the spirits languishing in divers heaps, this on the belly, that upon the back, one of the other lay, and others crawling, shifted themselves along the dismal road. We step by step went onward without speech, gazing upon and listening to the sick, who had not strength enough to lift their bodies. I saw two sitting leaned against each other, as leans in heating platter against platter, from head to foot bespotted over with scabs, and never saw I piled a currycomb by a stable boy for whom his master waits, or him who keeps awake unwillingly, as everyone was playing fast the bite of nails upon himself for the great rage of itching which no other succor had. The nails downward with them dragged the scab, in fashion as a knife the scales of beam, or any other fish that has them longest. O thou, that with thy fingers dost dismal thee, began my leader unto one of them, and makest of them pincers now and then. Tell me if any Latin is with those who are within, so many the nails suffice thee to all eternity unto this work. Latins are we, whom thou so wasted seest, both of us here. One weeping made reply, but who art thou? The question is about us. And said the guide, one am I who descends down with this living man from cliff to cliff, and I intend to show him hell unto him. Then broken was their mutual support, and trembling each one turned himself to me, with others who had heard him by rebound. Wholly to me did the good master gather, saying, say unto them whatever thou wishest. And I began, since he would have it so. So may your memory not steal away in the first world from out the minds of men, but so may it survive neath many suns. Say to me who ye are, and of what people, Let not your foul and loathsome punishment make you afraid to show yourselves to me. I of a zero was made reply, and Albert and Siena had me burned, but what I died for does not bring me here. 'Tis true, I said to him, speaking in jest, that I could rise by flight into the air, and he who had conceit but little wit would have me show to him the art, and only because no Delius I made me be burned by one who held him as his son. But unto the last Bolga of the 10, for alchemy which in the world I practiced, Minos, who cannot err, has me condemned. And to the poet said I, now was ever so vain a people as the Sienese. Not for certainty the French by far, whereat the other leper who had heard him replied unto my speech, taking out Storica, who knew the art of moderate expenses, and Niccolo, who the luxurious use of cloves discovered earliest of all, within the garden where such seed takes root, and taking out the band among whom squandered Cassia de Ascension has vineyards and vast woods, and where his wit the Abogalato proffered. But that thou know who those doth second thee against the Sienese, make sharp thine eye towards me, so that my face well answers thee, and thou shalt see I am Carpaccio's shade, whose metal falsify my alchemy. Thou must remember, if I will descry thee, how I skillful ape of nature was. That was Canto 29. Canto 30. 'Twas at the time when Juno was enraged for Semiel against the Theban blood, as she already more than once had shown. So rift of reason Athamas became, that seeing his own wife with children twain, walking encumbered upon either hand, he cried, spread out the nets that I may take the lioness and her whelps upon the passage, and then extended his unpitying claws, seizing the first who had the name Laertius, and whirled him around and dashed him on a rock, and she with the other brethren drowned herself. At that time when fortune downward hurled the Trojans' arrogance, that all things dared, so that the king was with his kingdom crushed. Hipcuba said, disconsolate and captive, when lifeless she beheld Poxina and her Polydorus on the shore of ocean, was the dolorous one aware, out of her senses like a dog did bark. So much the anguish had her mind distorted, but not of the thieves, the Furies, nor the Trojan, were ever seen in any one so cruel, in goading beasts and much more human members, as I beheld two shadows pale and naked, who biting in the manner ran along, that a boar does when from the sty turned loose. One to Carpaccio came, and by the nape seized with its teeth his neck, so that in dragging it made his belly grate the solid bottom. And the Artine, who trembling had remained, said to me, that mad sprite in Gianni Sicisi and Raven goes, thus hurrying other people. Oh, said I to him, so may not the other. Set teeth on thee, let it not weary thee, to tell us who it is, it dart hence. And he to me, that is the ancient ghost of the nefarious Myrrha, who became beyond all rightful love her father's lover. She came to sin with him after this manner, by counterfeiting of another's form, as he who goeth yonder undertook, that he might gain the lady of the herd, to counterfeit in himself busco donati, making a will and giving it due form. And after the two maniacs had passed, on whom I held my eye, I turned it back to look upon the other evil-born. I saw one made in fashion of a lute. If he had only had the groin cut off, just at the point of which a man is forked, the heavy droopsy that so disproportions the limbs with humors, which it ill concocts, that the face corresponds not to the belly, compelled him so to hold his lips apart, as does the hectic, who because of thirst, one towards the chin, the other upward turns. O ye who without any torment are, and why I know not in the world of woe. Woe. He said to us, behold and be attentive unto the misery of Master Adam. I had while living much of what I wished, and now, alas, a drop of water crave. The rivulets that form the verdant hills of Castian descended down into Arno, making their channel courses cool and soft. Ever before me stand, and not in vain, for more doth their image dry me up than the disease which strips my face of flesh, the rigid justice that chastises me, drawn occasion from the place in which I sinned, to put the more my sighs in flight. There is Romania, where I counterfeited the currency imprinted with the Baptist, for which I had left my body burned above. But if I here could see the tristful soul of Guido and Alessandro, or their brother, for Brenda's fount, I would not give the sight. One is within already, if the raving shades that are going round about speak truth. But what avails it me, whose limbs are tied? If I were only still so light that in 100 years I could advance 1 inch, I had already started on the way, seeking him out among those squalid folk. Although the circuit be 11 miles, and be not less than half a mile across, for them I in such a family, they did induce me into coining foreigns, which had 3 carats of impurity, and I to him, who are the 2 poor wretches that smoke like unto a wet hand in winter, lying there close upon thy right hand confines. I found them here, replied he, when I reined into the chasm, since they had not turned, nor do I think they will forevermore. One, the false woman, is who accused Joseph, the other the false Sinon, Greek of Troy. From acute fever they send forth such reek, and one of them who felt himself annoyed at being pre-adventure named so darkly, smote with the fist upon his hardened punch. It gave a sound as if it were a drum, and Master Adam smote him with his arm upon the face that did not seem less hard, saying to him, although be taken from me all motion from my members that are heavy, I have an arm unfettered for such need. Whereat he answered, Maid, when thou didst go unto the fire, thou hadst it not so ready. Hadst it so, but more when thou wasn't coining the dropsicle. Thou sayest true in that, but thou wast not so true a witness there, where thou wasn't questioned of the truth at Troy. If I spake false, thou falsest the coin, said Simeon, and for one fault am I here, and thou for more than any other demon. Remember, perjurer, about the horse. He made reply, who had the swollen belly, and rueful be it thee, the whole world knows it. Rueful to thee the thirst, but be wherewith cracks thy tongue, the Greek said, and the putrid water that hedges so the paunch before thine eyes. Then the false coiner, so is gaping wide the mouth for speaking evil as 'tis wont. Because if I have thirst and humor stuff me, thou hast a burning in the head that aches. And now to lick up the mirror of Narcissus, thou wouldst not want words many to invite thee. In listening to them was I wholly fixed. When said the master to me, now just look, for little wants it that I quarrel with thee. When him I heard in anger speak to me. I turned me round towards him with such shame that still it eddies through my memory. And as he is who dreams of his own harm, who dreaming wishes it may be a dream, so that he craves what is as if it were not. Such I became, not having power to speak, for to excuse myself I wished, and still excuse myself, and I did not think I did it. Less shame doth wash away a greater felt. The master said, then this of thine has been, therefore thyself disburden of all sadness, and make account that I, beside thee, if ever it come to pass that fortune bring thee, where there are people in a like dispute, for a base wish is to wish to hear it. And that, my friends, was Canto 30. Next time I'll pick up on Canto 31. Still very gory. Sending each and every one of you love and light. Hope you have an amazing day tomorrow, wherever you are in the world. Be safe, be seen, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.